right, now, listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth. Right now.
Ooh.
That was the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it. Hit it.
It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started. Yeah.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody! Showtime!
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
Well, good afternoon. It is 3:07 on a Friday afternoon. I'm Chris Roloff, oddly not sitting in the middle of the camera shot. No one cares about that. You're listening to The Truth, 99.3 FM. This is Mac's World Live. I'm normally here every day. Chris Frank is normally here, and he's with us today. Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, is normally here with us. He's here as well. Jeb is producing. The only person that is normally here that's missing is Mac today. He has taken Friday off. I joked earlier that he's one of those 4-hour work week guys now. You know, he's living the dream. Just gets to be free and do whatever he wants.
Yeah. But you know, he doesn't want to be outside because he doesn't like heat.
He does. And it's cold, like cold as ice in the studio for Mac. In fact, it's
66.
You I know that's hard to believe, but it is in fact 66 degrees in here. So that's cold. You probably all want to be. So just imagine you're in the 66 degree studio with us, and you'll be much happier. Because it is hot outside, I understand. And also,
Toasty.
Steve Riker is with us today.
Hello.
Now, Steve,
Nice to be here.
other than having a beautiful beard and a shiny head,
Right.
What brings you to the program today?
I am excited to be back here in KTIA. I was telling these guys, I had a radio show on KTIA back when you guys were 2 cans and a string.
Yes.
And now with your massive audience and your relocation, I'm excited to come down and hang out with you guys.
Due to you're on again. I told these guys I think you were the first local person I put on the air. I think, and I've been
KTIA survived in spite of that.
In spite of that, we survived.
Right.
I've been
very good,
Steve. I've been the station manager, as you know, for 99.3 FM since 2010. So that's coming up on 6. That's been 6 years now.
Yep.
And a lot of people that listen to Mac's World every day probably hear me and may not know that I'm actually the station manager of 99.3 FM. So I wanted to sort of come out of the closet about that today and let people know that I am the station manager of 99.3 FM. So I am wildly passionate about all the programming that you listen to every day, and I'm unbelievably thankful that you do choose to listen to the program. But today I wanted to do something different. Let me give you a little bit, not really all that different. It's much like Mac's World. Second hour, we're going to have Todd Stiles of First Family Church in Ankeny is going to be joining us. We're probably going to be talking about Father's Day. He's got a book about being a great dad. We're going to talk about Father's Day next hour. Steve Riker's with us this hour and the regular cast of characters, and you're here. But what I want to know from you in this first opening segment is one key thing. As station manager here, we get people who tell me, I want to hear more about Jesus. I want to hear more religion. I want to hear more Bible study stuff. And I get people who tell me I want less of that, and I want more politics, and I want more water cooler talk. Where do you fall? I want to know. This is an opportunity you have to talk to me and tell me what we should be doing here at 99.3 FM. Yeah. Tell me what we should be doing. Now, I'm not necessarily going to do it, but I do want to hear from you.
And how do they tell us?
And Frank pointed out I am a super delegate, right?
Yes, he's now a super delegate, and he's got the hairdo to prove it.
I've got the super delegate hairdo. There's 2 ways that you can tell me the answer to this question. Do you want to hear more Jesus, more religion, or more politics, more water cooler talk? Call me on the phone, 515-244-0077. That's the number. You can come into the studio right now where it's nice and cool, 66 degrees, and your voice can be heard. You can also send us a text at 515-809-0993. Send us a text. Do you want more religion? Do you want more politics? Or call us. We want to hear your voice at 515-244-0077. So there's the invitation. Go ahead and join us either of those ways. And as we wait for your texts and phone calls, I want to talk about flags. It's not even Flag Day, Steve.
American flags? What kind of flags are we talking about here?
Well, we're going to talk about 2 different flags today.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the rainbow flag, and we're going to talk about the Confederate flag. Let's start with the Confederate flag. Now, because neither one of those are controversial.
Right.
Neither one of those even get people.
Nobody has opinions about those.
Nobody has opinions about those. And the reason why we're going to talk about the Confederate. Hey, I have a question for you, Steve. You're a Midwest guy. You live in Iowa now.
I am the epitome of Midwest.
You're the epitome of Midwest. You actually said today that earlier today that it would take a God-sized crowbar to get you out of Ames specifically.
That's right.
So you love Ames.
I do. Iowa has its problems, but I love living in Ames. I love living in Iowa. This has been a great location for us. Super happy here.
It's hard not to love Ames. I'll tell you, as a guy who lived there for a short period of time.
You lived in Ames for a little while.
Yeah, I was smart enough to get out. You'll figure it out. No, I'm just.
Must have been that God-sized crowbar thing.
It was a God-sized crowbar. So anyway, we've got our first call in on this. I want to know, as station manager of 99.3 FM, I want to hear from you. Do you want us to talk more about religion, or do you want us to talk more about politics? Let's go. Let's go to Paul, who's on the phone. Hey, Paul, how's it going?
Apologetics, hermeneutics, the Bible, man. Talk about all that and everything else to take care of itself.
Apologetics, hermeneutics, and the Bible.
Yep.
One of those, I know what they are. The other two, those are. No, I'm kidding. Of course, I know what all three of those are. So, more religion is what you're saying, Paul.
Well, not just religion, but Christ himself. We can talk about all kinds of religions all day long, but Christ himself, and then we'll focus in on that, and then all the other religions will take care of themselves.
Sounds good. So that's one vote for more Jesus.
Absolutely more Jesus.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Love hearing from you. It wouldn't be a good day without Paul. Thanks, buddy.
Take care now.
Do we have any text, Bob?
Yeah. Tell Chris that I love the balance now.
There we go. I vote for the status quo.
I'm well balanced. Oh, that text was not talking about my alkaline acidity intake.
No. The balance of the show and the broadcast.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. So what is that? What is that? A half a vote on both?
Yeah, you might have to have that category too.
We have to have one vote. That's probably easier. That's going to be easier math than 0.5 and 0.5. So we'll give a tick on the Jesus and the politics side.
Well, you can just put the same. What we have going on, the same.
Right. Okay.
So one vote for the same.
One vote for the same. Sure, a little bit of both. So that's what we want to hear from you. We got text 515-809-0993, or you can call us at 515-244-0077. And Pat from Perry has called in. And Pat, what's going on? What do you think?
Well, Chris, I think I've emailed you on this before, but I think more in the evenings and nights when people are trying to sleep. You know, if you have a radio on the background, you don't want to hear the politics. You want to hear music, or you want to hear, some good teaching. So, it can help you to relax, in the evenings. But I think that's when I think we need to focus on Jesus more than anything else right now with all the things going on in the world today.
So, Pat, that was a vote for Jesus. More Jesus.
Yes.
Does that sound
How
bad?
many of your listeners are going to vote for less Jesus?
I guess that's
it's
not fair.
It's kind of a leading question.
Well,
if we
get a rash of calls from Ames and the Atheist Society, we might
you might
get less Jesus.
Some of our atheist friends want more Jesus on the radio, ironically enough. So, Pat, but you're saying most in the evening. I'll tell you an interesting story, Pat. Is we probably still do, but every night in the middle of the night we had a state trooper that listened to our broadcast, listened to the station, and he would be listening to Steve Deace. And at this time, after Steve Deace was over, we went to a national program hosted by June Hunt, which is Hope in the Night. And if you've ever listened to June Hunt's program, it's incredibly powerful. She does live counseling with people who call in the middle of the night, and she gets really deep into the talking with them and helping them work through a lot of issues very, very powerfully. And I will tell you, Pat, that he repeatedly emailed me and called and said, I love June Hunt. She's probably a sweet lady. But I'm going to fall asleep. I got to have something more stimulating than this in the middle of the night. So I thought, well, what do I do for the state trooper who wants me to get rid of June Hunt, who I know personally is a wonderful lady, and how do you call her up and say,
pick it up a little, June.
Let's get going with it a little bit. We got state troopers in Iowa. So, hey, Pat, I thank you so much for your call. I agree with you, though. In fact, our engineer talks about, Sunday afternoon having a lot of Bible teaching programs on Sunday afternoons because of pastors that, they've preached all day. They want to relax. They turn on the radio station and listen to some Jesus. So, Pat, thank you so much for your call. Pat called in at 515-244-0077.
Bob says put us on in the middle of the night. We'll liven it up.
Yeah. Frank and Bob.
Frank and Bob in the middle of the night. All I want is, if we did that, I would have to have like UFOs. I want you to talk about UFOs.
George.
That's my favorite thing in the middle of the night is like really bizarre. Like I really want to get into it. Like I want to think about
How about
UFOs.
a conspiracy theory show,
Yes.
late at night? That'd be good, right?
I love that stuff late at night. So we want to hear from you. If you don't know, my name is Chris. I'm the station manager of 99.3 FM. Nice to meet you. Hi. I want to meet you by text or phone call. I want to hear, do you want me to talk more about religion or more about politics? Primarily here in Mac's world, but what do you like more? Do you like the politics right now? Jesus is winning. Not surprised, but mostly religion. But do we want more politics? Call me at 515-244-0077. I can hear your voice just like we did with Pat and Paul. Thank you guys so much for calling. Or you can send us a text, 515-809-0993.
Now, you said, you're only giving them two choices. You didn't give them a balance like that other texter said. They like a balance of what we have.
Okay.
You
that's
see what
fine.
I'm saying? You just gave them one or the other.
Well, I want to. So here's the thing: is balance is good. Balance is good, but if you could only pick one, but then that's not fair.
That's not
right?
fair.
That's not fair. You're right, Steve.
Right.
Who's gonna vote down Jesus?
Well, ask that as part of the question. Do you think we're doing a balanced job of politics and faith?
Okay.
There you go.
All right. We doing a balanced job. Yeah. I want to know that.
Christians as a whole aren't likely to vote Jesus off the island.
No.
You would hope not.
You
would hope
taking a
not.
flyer at that.
You would hope not. But do you like it when we talk about politics? I like it a whole lot. I think it's really fun. Hey, we want to hear from you. 515-244-0077. Weigh on in this or send us a text, 515-809-0993. We've got so much more to talk about when we come back, mostly the Confederate flag, right here on The Truth.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Good afternoon, 21 minutes after the top of the hour. That means it's 3:21 on a Friday afternoon. And, just a reminder, Jeb is producing, and I'm not going to be bothered if you play the Friday song. It's not going to bother me, Jeb. Chris Roloff here. I'm with you most days from 3 to 5 o'clock, but really this is Mac's World Live, and you know that. Mac is the only one of our normal cast of characters who is not here today. Maybe he's praying for revival. I actually don't know, but... this past weekend, I'll be honest with you, really shook me up. The shooting in Orlando really, really has taken a toll on me emotionally. Really gotten me concerned. Can we have that slide back up, Jeb? And I knew about this. The Family Leadership Summit is coming up July 9th. And I knew about this event a long time ago. Station's really going to be heavily promoting it. We really want to see you out there. We'll be giving away tickets next week. So if you don't have tickets yet, we'll be giving away some next week. But I definitely encourage you to go to this, get some tickets now. But the events of this past weekend really sealed the deal for me. I'm really looking forward to July 9th, gathering together with other people that are hungry to hear from leaders, Christian leaders, on where is this country going, but also what do we do? What do we do now in the face of all that is going on? I'm starting to pray more for revival. I have the If 714 app on my phone. It reminds me to pray twice a day, 7:14 in the morning, 7:14 in the evening. But I encourage you to go to the Family Leadership Summit Saturday, July 9th at the Consumer Credit Union, whatever it is, deal. Used to be Veterans Center or whatever it is. You know where it is. Go to thefamilyleader.com and you'll find it. Get your tickets for the July 9th event. I encourage you to do that. I strongly do. Are you going to be able to come, Steve?
I am not. We're going to be out of town. In fact, I was just looking at it a couple of days, wondering if I could go to that. Otherwise, I would have been.
Yeah, to be honest with you, we 99.3's been to all the family leader events since we've been in Iowa, and I look forward to be honest with you, the events that have the spiritual focus a little bit more than the ones that have the political focus from the family leader. It's just truth be told, that's just me. And that's kind of what we're talking about today. By the way, I want to introduce myself to you. If you don't know, I'm the station manager of 99.3 FM. Steve is smiling at that. And I want to introduce myself to you because maybe not everybody knows that. My silly voice is here most days, and Mac doesn't always point that out. But I'm pointing that out not to toot my own horn or anything. I'm doing that because I want to hear from you today. I want to hear what you like, what you dislike about the station. Mac often says he's been in the restaurant industry for a long time. He loves it when you tell him that you like his cheeseburgers, but he really wants to hear when you don't. And so this is an opportunity for you to just call in and tell me what you think of the station. Do you think we talk about Jesus enough? Do you think we don't talk about him enough? Do you think we need to be addressing the political issues of the day more than we are on the radio and here on especially, but any broadcast day. So give us a call, 515-244-0077. I want to hear your voice. I'd like to meet you on the phone at least, 515-244-0077. Or you can send us a text at 515-809-0993. And Bob, do we have any texts since the last time? Nobody's weighing in on that. Nobody wants to vote on that. Nobody wants to express their feelings at this point.
Not yet.
Not yet. There's always time. Yeah. There's always time. So Frank's here, Bob's here, Steve Reicher's here, and Steve, we're going to talk about the Confederate flag.
Right.
Do you care, as a Midwest guy, about the Confederate flag at all?
Had you asked me that 2 years ago, I probably would have said no. It's a historical relic. It doesn't matter a great deal. What makes me care about it is what has come up around it and the violent opinions that we have on both sides of this. And I have some thoughts on it. What do you guys think?
Well, my first opinion would be that it's become a political correctness football. It's really being blown out of proportion, in my opinion, and we're trying to appease a certain segment of our population by getting rid of it, and that's not really going to make that segment of the population happy, so it's just a token gesture, and that's my basic view on it.
Bob, do you care about the Confederate flag?
No, I don't have that flag doesn't bother me. If they want to take it down, that's whatever they want to do. It doesn't matter to me.
Here's where I draw the line on the Confederate flag. I want to know who is creating the pressure to take that down. If it's because we as a society think that this is something offensive, and when you fly that, it colors my opinion of you, that I'm fine with. There are certainly other symbols that if I walked by and I saw you had a certain bumper sticker on the back of your car, it would affect my opinion of you. But for the government to come in and to say this is not acceptable, that I don't like to see.
Well, it's the do-gooder syndrome. They never sleep. They never rest. Your slum landlord may have to take a nap once in a while. I mean, this is kind of a famous quote from somebody that I'm butchering. But the do-gooder never sleeps, and it's constantly on. You know, they move on from that to the Washington Redskins football logo for the 10,000th time they're trying to get rid of because, like Steve Martin in The Jerk, that's all I need. If I just get this, we'll all be happy. All the racial tension, all the racial strife will just go away. If I just have this and I have this. But they don't rest. It's just they move on to the next hot button political issue. And it's all about political correctness. That's all it.
You know, it's interesting you bring up the Washington Redskins because they actually did a poll on Native Americans, and 9 out of 10 Native Americans say that name does not bother them whatsoever.
Well, a lot of if you will look into the history of this, a lot of the stank over a lot of the football logos, Seminoles, Indians, a lot of those things, there was money kicked into the Native American college funds. There was a lot of payoff, a lot of payola. I just think that if the Redskins owner would start some college grant fund for something, then the noise would probably go away. He just hasn't bowed and yielded enough to the political correctness of the people who's trying to keep this thing agitated.
Well, my understanding is that most people are more offended by the word Washington than Redskins.
Yeah, good point.
Well said. Hey, we want to hear from you. This is Max World Live. That was Steve Riker's voice you just heard there. Of course, Frank and Bob and Jeb, and I'm Chris. We want to hear from you. What do you think? Do you care about the Confederate flag? It's kind of funny. You know, I moved here from Texas, which is semi-southern, so I have a different experience with the Confederate flag. So do you care about the Confederate flag? Does it mean anything to you? Does it have significance to you? 515-244-0077 is where you can call in and weigh in your voice. 515-244-0077, or you can send us a text, 515-809-0993. Before we go too far, and I do want to hear from you, the reason why would anyone care at all? Well, there is a group of people in the United States that does care. They probably say does care a lot. Folks in the South do care, and specifically the Southern Baptist Convention does care. And in fact, I believe they just had their national convention either this past week, just recently.
Right.
I'm not a Southern Baptist myself, so I don't know. But the Southern Baptist denomination just voted on this issue. In fact, the Southern Baptist Convention voted overwhelmingly to repudiate the display of the Confederate battle flag. It seems like not that big a deal, but you guys, we're in Iowa, so we don't care. But you got to think about that. In the South, this is a part of their heritage. And the Southern Baptist Church has been in existence since the 1800s, since 1845 is when it started. So this is a church that has deep roots in the South, and the Confederate flag is a big part of their culture and their history. And it's kind of an interesting thing that they have voted to repudiate it. And do you think that, I know why they did, But what do you guys think? Why do you think they voted to repudiate it? Do you think they just fall into political correctness, or do you think there's something else going on? Frank,
That's what I would
head.
suggest, political correctness. They're caving.
Yeah, well, if you look at that Charleston, was it a Charleston shooting?
Yeah.
Where there were photos of that shooter that was holding the Confederate flag. So I think some people associate that with a rebellion, and violence and that kind of thing. I mean, that's what I'm assuming, and therefore they want to get rid of that piece of history. I mean, so people will forget that it ever existed? I don't know, man. I can't imagine that.
After the shooting in Charleston, it was actually documented that you could go on Amazon and you couldn't order a Confederate flag, but you could order an ISIS flag.
Yeah, sure.
When was this?
It was several weeks right after the shooting. When the Confederate flag first kind of blew up and became a national issue again, Amazon pulled everything that featured a Confederate flag. But at the same time, you could still go on Amazon and you could order an ISIS flag.
See,
wow,
that makes it political.
That does make
it does.
Go ahead, Frank. Go ahead.
My problem with the whole issue is let's interject some truth and correctness into the story. I mean, clearly, I think Honest Abe Lincoln's words that he wrote would be as a value to anyone in the debate and the argument as any. If we're going to debate this situation, we have to realize that, the blacks want to see this as a symbol of some dark point in our history called slavery. Okay, that was a dark problem. That was a dark issue. But Abraham Lincoln's words to a letter penned to Horace Greeley in 1862, 1865, August, can't remember the exact date, but he basically said he wasn't willing to lose one Northern soldier in the cause of slavery. So the Civil War was never about slavery. It was always about preservation of the Union. That was first and foremost. And slavery just kind of came along a little bit like George Bush and freedom for women and to educate. We went to war to eliminate biological and chemical weapons, and we ended up freeing women up to go to school, and that was promoted as, hey, this is the cause. Well, the same thing happened in the Civil War. We went to war over preserving the Union. Slavery got eliminated because of it, and everybody wants to jump onto that was the cause of the war.
I think we have to be very careful ascribing simple causes to the Civil War. I think there were multiple threads that led into that. And without any one of those, maybe history would have been different. But I think more so what I'm interested in when you talk about the Southern Baptists, I think that we as Christians get into trouble when we create rules on things that the Bible doesn't address directly. Drinking beer. This is a really classic example.
Right.
The Bible never says one way or another about alcoholic beverages. It talks about drunkenness. It has some pretty clear commands on that. But drinking alcohol, that's not specifically mandated one way or another. And we as Christians come across as being very judgmental when we get into making hard and fast rules where the Bible itself has not. And I wonder if the church isn't overstepping their bounds by decreeing this to be off limits for Southern Baptists.
Steve Reicher's our guest. This is Max World Live. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to continue this conversation. We want to hear from you. It's Iowa. It's the Midwest. Do you care about the Confederate flag one way or the other? Does it offend you? Do you own one? I want to hear from you. You can weigh in on this at 515-244-0077, or you can send us a text, 515-809-0993. And the reason why we're talking about this is because the Southern Baptist Convention just said that they are going to repudiate it. They voted overwhelmingly to repudiate it, and we want to know why they did that. And we're going to talk about that and why they did it when we get back right here on Max World Live on The Truth, 99.3 FM.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
You ever have one of those really holy moments where you just don't know what to say? You just feel so overcome you can't speak. That's how I feel every time I hear that ridiculous song. It is, in fact, Friday. This is Max World Live. I'm Chris Roloff, filling in for J. Michael McCoy here on The Truth, 99.3 FM. Just a reminder, the regular cast of characters are all here, minus Mac, and I think we're going to do just fine because really, as Mac always says, it's really your voice we want to hear. And we're talking about, right now, we're talking about the Confederate flag. There's more things we're going to talk about. So we're not going to talk about the Confederate flag all afternoon. Todd Stiles from First Family Church in Ankeny is going to be coming in. We're going to be talking about Father's Day coming up this weekend on Sunday. I hope you've got some plans. Dads, what you going to do for your family? It's kind of a twist, right? We're all thinking, what are they going to do for me? I'm going to sleep again on Sunday afternoon. Yeah, I already take a nap on Sunday afternoon. So what can I do for my family this weekend? I don't know. We're going to talk with Pastor Todd Stiles of First Family Church in Ankeny about fathers and Father's Day coming up next hour. Steve Riker is our guest for this first hour. Steve, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And right now, the reason why we're talking about the Confederate flag is because the Southern Baptist Convention, which is a denomination, it's not just Baptists who happen to be in the South. It is a denomination. There are Southern Baptist churches in Iowa. There's Southern Baptist churches throughout the state and around the world. It is a denomination started in 1848. The Confederate flag has a rich history in the South. And so the Southern Baptist Church has, since the controversy, I assume, has decided that they need to address this issue. And over the past week here at their convention, their national convention, the Southern Baptist Convention voted overwhelmingly to repudiate the display of the Confederate battle flag. And we're going to get to why they chose to do that and hear from Russell Moore and his words in just a minute. But we want to hear what you think about the Confederate flag, even living here in Iowa. 515-244-0077 is your voice, or you can send us a text at 515-809-0993. And Bob, you've got a text for us.
I do have a text, and it says, I'm offended by the Confederate flag because, as a U.S. veteran, it represents a country that opposed the country I swore to defend. It should never be flown in this country.
Thank you so much for that text. So if I understand the text correctly, if I'm understanding you, texter, right, you're saying that the Confederate flag represents hating a part of our country? Is that what they said? Am I interpreting that right?
Well, he said it represents a country that opposed this country.
Represents a country that opposed this country.
Right.
That's an interesting. Okay. Maybe I don't fully understand that.
So
but
by
Steve,
that logic, we would have to extend that to say that the United States at one time or another has been at war with almost every country in the world. So by his text, I would think that he would say that we couldn't fly any other flag.
We couldn't have flags in the United Nations?
Sure.
Well,
right. So what I guess I just wonder, where does free speech and the freedom of expression meet issues like this? Because the problem with the Confederate flag, and the reason why it's a hot button, is that it has come to represent a set of ideas. And that makes it a hot topic. And freedom of speech isn't impressive when you're in a room with people who agree with you.
Well, it's this old saw, free rights is swinging your fist in the air. That's my right to do that. It's the other guy's right start. My right stop where the other guy's no starts.
Correct.
Okay. If I'm flying a flag in my own yard and somebody down the street says, well, I'm offended by that. I mean, I happen to have a neighbor next door to me that has a Confederate flag flying. And I don't find any offense to it. You know, I just find it kind of amusing, silly. Now, I suppose somebody else may. Now, if I went over and plopped that flag down in somebody else's yard, then that's where their nose starts.
What if I fly the Christian flag in my front yard, and my Muslim neighbors are offended by that?
Well, there's people who will ask you to take down an American flag. You live in one of these, what's these things like Mac lives in? The
homeowners association.
The homeowners associations, they will moan and groan about whether you have a picture of Jesus in your yard.
Right,
They'll
sure.
moan and groan about flying the American flag. Whether you have Christmas lights lighting up too late into the season. There's all kinds of things that people will gripe about that really is none of their business.
Well, I wonder about the people that are anti-Trumpers that were waving the Mexican flag here in this country. You know, what do people think about that when you see that on the news?
Yeah, that is an interesting point.
What about the gay flag?
That is an interesting point. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that one, actually. We're actually going to keep talking about more flags. There's more flags to talk about. But that's an interesting point. Well, let me kind of bring it back to the story, and then maybe we'll move on to this rainbow flag for a minute. But the reason why I brought this up is because I found this on Russell Moore's website. Russell Moore is a former president of the Southern Baptist Convention, and now he, I think, runs the Ethics and Religious Liberty Council, something like that. So he's kind of involved in the political arm, in a sense, of the Southern Baptist Convention. But I got this information off of his website. The committee version called for the Southern Baptists to, quote, limit the display of the flag and to, quote, consider stopping flying it altogether. But the convention, when they got together, all the Southern Baptists got together, they decided that stronger language was in order. The Southern Baptist president, James Merritt, said this: "We call our brothers and sisters in Christ to discontinue the display of the Confederate battle flag as a sign of solidarity of the whole body of Christ, including our African American brothers and sisters." Russell Moore added, "I've said it before, the cross and the Confederate flag cannot coexist without one setting the other on fire. Today, messengers to the Southern Baptist Convention, including many white Anglo-Southerners, decided the cross was more important than the Confederate flag. They decided that we are defined not by a lost cause, but by amazing grace. Let's pray for wisdom, work for justice, love our neighbors. And Russell Moore ended with, let's take down that flag. So, it's interesting. I think on a national level, we can talk, especially here in the Midwest, we can talk about the Confederate flag and its history and all that kind of stuff. But it's really, I don't think it's really a part of who we are here in Iowa. There's not a lot of people, I think, in Iowa who hold to it and say, this is a part of my tradition. And also, the racial tension in Iowa is much different than it is in the South. And so, to some degree, this story is very focused on the Southern Baptist Convention. It's something they have to deal with. And I found it quite brave that they were to say, you know what, we're going to set that whole thing aside. We're going to set that whole heritage aside for the sake of the gospel. What do you think? You still got time to weigh in on that. If you want, 515-244-0077, or you can send us a text at 515-809-0993. We've got a text, Bob.
Have a text. One thing that makes me mad is that last year the federal government removed the Confederate flag from federal cemeteries containing Confederate dead. I think freedom of expression allows anyone to fly any flag they wish.
That's an interesting thing in the cemetery, because when you get into stuff in the cemetery, now you get into really weird stuff, because you've got...
Well, now you're getting into history revision.
You've got history revision.
Trying to rewrite history. And to some extent, we've seen statues taken down. We've seen schools renamed, boulevards renamed, as if this never happened. And now we're getting into Soviet era, Stalin rewriting history. This is getting into craziness.
That is really interesting, and the other thing that's been brought up too, as groups like the ACLU try to take down crosses around places, a lot of these veteran cemeteries, especially, you have the very plain, all the headstones are the same, but the religious symbols for the different soldiers are posted there. So what about the crosses there? I remember that being kind of a big controversy. So we're going to probably move on to, we do have another caller who wants to weigh on this. So Frank, do you have any, do you think that they made a good choice? I think the Southern Baptist Convention made an outstanding choice to say that when it comes to us in our culture, we're not going to wave the Confederate flag around here because it's a hindrance to the gospel. I think they made a great choice. What do you think? We're going to continue this conversation a little bit more. And we're going to talk about a flag that's got rainbow colors on it next, and where it happens to be flying right here in your fair city. You're listening to the Truth Network, 99.3 FM. We'll be right back with Paul on the phone.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common, everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Friday.
good afternoon. 10 minutes before the top of the hour, and we're going to hear from Salem Radio Network News, and they're going to tell us what's going on around the world and what's interesting to you right now. But what's interesting to me right now is that we've got Paul on the phone, and we're talking about the Confederate flag, and the Southern Baptist Convention said, hey, take down that Confederate flag. It's a hindrance to the gospel. What do you say? 515-244-0077. You can send us a text at 515-809-0993. Yes, this is Max World. I'm Chris. I'm normally here. I'm just driving the boat today. No big deal. Hey, we got Paul on the line. Paul, what you say?
Hi, Paul. How are you?
Not too bad. Oh, I was going to say, everybody's trying to get rid of the history and all this. It was all Southern Democrats. I think they were called left-wing Southern Democrats. I think that had the
Dixiecrats
on there. I believe so. That'd be the Clinton era. That'd be the Byrd era. David Duke. He's still a Democrat, even though he got a Republican name stuck on his. The Rhinos, the same thing. That same type of personality is exactly why they're trying to get rid of the Confederate flag, is to make to do away with that history, so they can eventually say, well, slavery really never happened. The Holocaust itself really never happened. None of those things, all those tragedies never really happened or took place. So the Civil War, that never really happened either. That was just some right-wing Republicans that did all that stuff. You know, like Abraham Lincoln and the like.
Paul, I think there's some truth to that, and we were talking a little bit off air about revisionist history and trying to pretend as if these things never happened. And I think we do a huge disservice to our children and grandchildren when we go about hiding the ugliness in our history.
I agree with you, Steve. Hey, Paul, thank you so much for your call, buddy. Love hearing from you.
That's the beauty about the Bible there that I brought up earlier.
What's that?
That's the beauty about the Bible that I brought up earlier about trying not to get rid of the Jesus thing so much on there. Is bring up the Bible, because all the history that's in there, the family of Christ is ugly. There's rapists and murderers and all kinds of things that went on there, and God didn't hide any of that stuff.
That's right. Thanks, Paul, so much. There's a bunch of sinners in the Bible, just sinners like me. Hey, we've got a text, too, that had an interesting comment at 515-809-0993.
Oh, you mean about the Southern Baptist Convention?
Yeah, they had a comment about the Southern Baptist Convention.
Yeah, when the Southern Baptist Convention decides to remove Freemasons, Shriners from their pulpits and pews and removes the apostate churches under their denomination, then they might have a right to speak to this issue.
Well, there you go. Thanks for texting in at 515-809-0993. And there's another flag. Frank, real quick, you want to make a quick comment?
There was, you get south of the Mason-Dixon line, you get past, like, say, Nevada, Missouri. There's actually a Nevada, Missouri on 71, and you start getting into the territory where we're described as the Yankees. We're described as Northerners, and they take the Civil War seriously down there. There's parts of the country that reenact this yearly.
And I want to point this out because I think Frank brings up a really good point, and that is that here in the Midwest, we may not fully get the depth of how much this is a real issue. Imagine for yourself, in the South, there could be Southern Baptist churches that have Confederate flags in their sanctuary up on the stage near the pulpit. Not directly next to the pulpit, but up there somewhere. And think about an African-American person walking into that church for the first time and they see that flag.
How does it affect your ministry?
Right. How does it affect your ministry? Now, that's not something you're not going to walk into a church in Iowa probably and see the Confederate flag. In fact, if you did in Iowa, it'd probably be even weirder. To be honest with you, I'm just going to say that I would be even more surprised.
That'd probably make the evening news.
That would probably make the evening news. But, in the South, this is a deep part of their history. And so I want to say that I applaud the Southern Baptist Convention for saying, for the sake of the gospel, we're going to take the Confederate flag down. We're not going to make that be a stumbling block anymore. So I actually want to applaud the Southern Baptist Church for doing that, and I know that wasn't a small thing, and it was a brave thing for them to do. It may not seem like a big deal to a Midwesterner, but it is a brave thing for them to do. There's another flag flying in the sky today in a unique place, and that is that Des Moines City Hall. Des Moines City Hall now flies a rainbow-colored flag, a symbol the mayor says shows solidarity with victims of the Orlando massacre.
Take it down.
Mayor Frank... I don't know how to say our mayor's name. County, thank you so much. I feel bad, sorry. Said that the purpose is to show unity and solidarity of all people. It's not about race. It is not about party. It is not about gender.
Baloney,
it's about sexual.
Baloney.
It's not about sexual preference. It's not about sexual preference, he says. The rainbow flag's not about sexual preference. Did you hear that? What the crud? I was just reading this out loud to myself. I'm sorry. This is genuine shock. The rainbow flag is not about sex. I didn't vote for you. The rainbow flag is not about sexual preference. We want all people to know that Des Moines wants to see the violence stop. I agree, the violence needs to stop. But what have you've intentionally pulled the wool over your eyes to say that the rainbow flag is not about sexual preference.
But we keep dividing up and classifying Americans by this between rich, the poor, young, the old, the black, the white, the gay, the straight. Why aren't we Americans? Why didn't Americans get killed in Orlando? Why does it have to be gay Americans? Why do we have to fly a flag? Why can't we just have a flag that mourns the loss of life in the country because somebody got killed in the United States of America?
That's right. We want to go to the phones real quick. You can weigh in on any of this at 515-244-0077. That's what Lisa did. Lisa from Des Moines called in. Lisa, how are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing great. I like that I'm in the driver's seat and I get to talk to Lisa. Thanks so much.
Oh, yay. I'm glad I get to talk to you, too.
Hey, so what do you think? Are you calling about the Confederate flag thing?
I was. I mean, well, flags in general. I think it's a good thing.
You think what's a good thing?
Yeah, which part?
What the Southern Baptist did.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's a good thing. I think, obviously I believe that everybody has the right to flag whatever flag that they want, at their house. But, in the church, I wouldn't want to see that. I'm personally offended by, not offended, but I mean, when I see it, I kind of recoil a little bit.
Sure. Lisa,
It's about treason. It's about, segregation and not segregation, but, slavery and.
Right. Well, I agree with you, Lisa. Maybe you heard me say just a little bit ago, if I walked into a church, especially here in Iowa, and I saw not Southern Baptist, I'm sorry. If I saw a Southern Baptist in Iowa, I'd be really mad. No, if I walked into a church in Iowa and I saw a Confederate flag flying in their sanctuary, and that was one of the only flags they had up, I think I would be surprised, Lisa, and that would make me uncomfortable. And I'm from Texas.
Should we walk in a church and see an American flag, an Iowa flag? Should we see any flag in a church?
Well, that's a whole different conversation for a whole nother day. Lisa, you got any other final thoughts?
Yeah, about the rainbow flag.
Yep.
I think that if I were a member of the LGBT community, or at least the LGB community, I'd be offended. Not offended, but I would be kind of confused, I suppose, by Merritt County saying it's not about sexual preference.
Look, maybe I'm just reading the thing. Maybe I'm taking that out of context, but I think that's kind of really is about sexual preference. That's what the flag represents. It really represents the LGBT community.
I have LGBT friends who say, I mean, that's just kind of an odd statement.
It is. Hey, Lisa, thank you so much. We love that you call in. Have a great day, Lisa. We just got a few more seconds. Steve, you want to say something?
The problem with the LGBTQXYZ flag and the Confederate flag is the same problem in that they both have implied and come to imply decisions that involve exclusion of others.
We'll be back with more Salem Radio Network news next.